In the dimly lit corner of a nondescript bar in Florence, Kentucky, Edward Carrington ran a gnarled finger along the rim of his half-empty bourbon glass. The gilded shadows cast by the setting sun danced over his face, etching lines of age and determination deeper into his weathered skin. Around him, the familiar hum of the town, a conglomerate of murmured gossip, the clinking of glasses, and the occasional laughter thrummed on. The sanguine light of the dwindling day filtered through the stained glass windows, bathing the room in a surreal, coppery hue. "Another round, Ed?" the bartender asked, his deep-set eyes soft with familiarity. Edward nodded, his gaze distant, lost in the amber liquid swirling before him. "What's on your mind?" the bartender prodded gently as he filled his glass. Edward grunted, tracing an old scar on his wrist. His recollections took on a voice, quietly weaving a tale of his childhood poverty. "Ghosts, Tommy, chasing me from the past, reminding me of the hunger that gnaws and never forgets." The bartender gave a solemn nod, his eyes echoing the sympathy of a town well-versed in hard times. "That money laundering case at the morgue?" Tommy ventured, his question barely above a whisper. Edward's gaze turned sharper, acknowledging the man's accuracy. His following days took him deeper into the belly of Florence, its quaint tranquility and eerie mask to the financial irregularities he sought to unravel. The morgue, an unassuming structure of granite and grimness, stood at the heart of the town like a mausoleum dedicated to mysteries. Within its sterile walls, he spoke to morticians and clerks, his demeanor as cold and clinical as the lifeless subjects that filled their stainless steel drawers. But his steely exterior couldn't mask the determination that shone in his eyes. "Do you ever wonder why we're never short on cadavers, Mr. Carrington?" asked Clara, the lead mortician, her voice dripping with a strange mix of apathy and intrigue. Her question hung in the air, like the faint smell of formaldehyde that permeated the hallways. His conversations were filled with veiled references, coded talk of good business years, and fortunate influxes. He meticulously dissected these dialogues, a predator seeking the truth amidst a labyrinth of half-spoken words. By nightfall, he found himself back at the bar, his mind abuzz with information and innuendo. He held the town's secrets in his hands, a tangled web that grew larger and more intricate with each passing day. As he delved deeper, the shadows of his past became starker, the echoes of childhood hunger fueling his pursuit. And yet an undercurrent of fear tingled at the back of his mind, a gnawing sense that he was on the precipice of a revelation that would shake not only his reality, but the very fabric of Florence. As he drained his final glass of bourbon, he knew that his journey had only just begun. The shadows of his past were closing in, and the only way out was to dive headfirst into the unseen horrors that waited patiently in the depths of the town's corruption. Morning rays leaked through the mist-veiled landscape of Florence, casting an ethereal glow on the town's everyday tableau. As the dawn stirred life into the slumbering town, Edward found himself tracing the well-worn steps to the morgue. Inside the building, the scent of antiseptic mingled with the cold reality of death. Corridors echoed with hushed conversations, and the soft hum of fluorescent lights bore witness to the parade of life's final act. Casting a glance over the ledger of the deceased, his eyes narrowed. The list bore no names, only numbers, a dehumanizing reduction of identities to mere statistics. The columns were filled with cryptic entries and encoded transactions, a maddening trail that looped back into itself, leaving no room for straightforward conclusions. Through veiled conversations and hidden alleyway meetings, he gleaned fragments of the truth. The whispers of morticians carried coded phrases, the trade being the most recurrent. It was a delicate web, each strand interwoven with the next, no one person bearing the full burden of knowledge. His investigation soon gained unwanted attention. Unmarked envelopes slipped beneath his motel room door. Threats veiled under the garb of concern whispered through anonymous phone calls. His nights, once a haven of solitude and reflection, were now fraught with unease and the ominous hum of surveillance. One evening, over a tumbler of bourbon at his regular bar, he found himself in conversation with a bereaved father. His words, soaked in sorrow, painted a disconcerting picture of his daughter's final rites. "They say she's resting, but I swear I've heard her voice, Ed." the man murmured, his haunted eyes echoing with unspeakable fear. Late at night, from the morgue. Faint, but hers. The stories piled on, one eerier than the last, weaving a spectral symphony of voices that refused to be silenced, bodies that moved when no one was watching. Fear began to creep into his veins, slowly replacing the thrill of the chase with a sense of impending doom. His nights grew restless, dreams echoing with the whispers of the dead, his sleep disturbed by inhuman sounds that seemed to emanate from the heart of the morgue itself. His once analytical mind now became the battleground of reason and the insidious encroachment of horror. As he left the bar late one night, the full moon cast long shadows over the town. His eyes were drawn to the silhouette of the morgue, standing stark against the starry night. A pulsating dread grew in the pit of his stomach, a dark premonition that he was nearing the precipice of a horrific revelation. Reality, he realized, was slowly beginning to fray at the edges, the threads pulling away to reveal something far more sinister at play. The town's secrets were like the dead in the morgue, cold, silent, and waiting to be unveiled. He was drawn deeper into the abyss, the very darkness he sought to expose inching closer with each passing day. As dawn broke over the town of Florence, a peculiar stillness hovered in the air. The world had turned slightly askew. The sun rose, the rooster crowed, and the townsfolk stirred. But the rhythm of life was tinged with an imperceptible dissonance. Edward, sleep-deprived and unnerved, returned to the morgue with a weary sense of determination. A chilling lead had emerged from the web of whispered threats and spectral rumors, drawing him deeper into the heart of the mystery. In the bowels of the morgue, he discovered a hidden chamber. It bore no resemblance to the sanitized sterility of the rest of the building. Instead, it pulsed with a strange, otherworldly energy, and the air thrummed with an unnatural vibration. At the center of the room, he found an artifact, organic in nature, yet alien in design. It pulsed with a dim light, a slow, hypnotic rhythm that echoed the palpitations of a monstrous heart. The object emanated an eerie melody that made the marrow in his bones hum in response. As he reached out to touch it, the foreign yet familiar sensation sent shivers down his spine. His senses recoiled in the presence of the alien object, yet he felt a twisted kinship with its pulsating existence. It was a revelation he had not expected, nor was prepared for. His investigations drew him into the lives of the townsfolk, who, while oblivious to the true horror, bore the marks of the alien influence. Fear was now a resident in their eyes, sleep was but a distant memory, and voices from beyond the grave were their unwanted company. Their mundane lives had been silently harvested, their sanity reaped in the macabre transaction. Edward, once the pursuer, now found himself pursued, not by the physical presence of the alien entity, but by the moral dilemma it posed. The alien influence promised him an escape from his haunting past, offering financial security, yet it meant allying himself with the inhuman power that had turned the town into a necropolis. Through sleepless nights and tortuous days, he battled with his fear and desperation. The shadows of his impoverished past loomed larger than ever, tugging at the strings of his conscience. His instinct to expose the truth clashed with the allure of financial security, setting the stage for a decision that would shape his destiny. He was now standing at the edge of a precipice, caught between the gnawing fear of poverty and the lure of illicit wealth. With each passing day, the boundary between the man and the monster within grew fainter, the pull of the alien artifact stronger, luring him closer to the chilling embrace of the unseen harvest. The waning moon cast a pall over the somnolent town of Florence, the quietude pierced only by the mournful hoot of an owl. The world was held in the grip of an uncanny calm, a deceptive lull before the unveiling of the final act. In the cold confines of his motel room, Edward sat brooding, the flickering lamplight throwing grotesque shadows on the worn wallpaper. His mind was a tempest, tossed between the sharp reefs of his haunting past and the abyss of the impending future. The alien artifact had awakened something within him, a shadowy beast that promised the glittering lure of wealth, its siren call echoing the forgotten hymns of his poverty-stricken past. The specter of hunger, the sharp bite of cold, The relentless ache of want, the memories rushed back like a tide, each wave crashing harder than the last. And so, he found himself drawn to the morgue once more, the pulsating artifact acting as a lodestone to his floundering moral compass. The stone walls, once cold and impersonal, now resonated with an ominous familiarity. As he stepped into the hidden chamber, he felt the hum of the artifact vibrating in his bones, a perverse lullaby that sung of riches beyond comprehension. The pulsating mass of alien life echoed with the silent cries of the town, a chilling symphony of unknowable horror. Under the spectral glow of the artifact, he made his choice. He extended a trembling hand, each throb of his pulse in rhythm with the entity. The moment his flesh made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, a dark pact sealed in the unholy cathedral of the morgue. His acceptance marked the birth of a gruesome alliance. Edward Carrington, once a beacon of truth, has become a puppet of the cosmic horror he sought to expose. His choice had been made, his fate now intertwined with the alien presence. Back in the bar, the bartender poured a drink in his memory. The absence of the persistent journalist felt as an oppressive silence. The town of Florence slept on, oblivious of the horrors that danced in the shadows. The residents mere pawns in the cosmic game of deceit and corruption. The generous and brave Edward, driven by the unseen horrors of his past, succumbed to the dark allure of power. In the cold heart of the morgue, under the watchful eye of the alien artifact, he slipped into the embrace of the darkness he once fought to expose, his fate a chilling reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the heart of man. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.